Hey everyone, today we've got another web scraping job. The client wants us to scrape a directory from a website. Here is the website. It's called Media Directory and it includes profiles of digital native media organizations from more than 40 countries in Europe. So these are the listings and there is about 60 pages in this directory. And a total of 540 listings. So here is one listing. So here is the code. We import our necessary libraries for the scraping, and then we initialize our empty lists to store the data. We have about 38 lists. Then we're gonna create a Chrome options object because we want to disable pop-up blocking, because if we don't disable it, the script won't work. So we need that. Then we initialize a Chrome browser instance and we apply the options to it. We maximize the browser window, we make it full screen. Then we open our target website. Then we're gonna wait 2 seconds. Then we're gonna accept the cookies. So here is the cookie button. We copy its XPath and we paste it here. So it finds the button and it clicks it. Then we initialize a variable to keep track of the page number. So it's at 0 at the moment. Then we initialize a variable to control the loop. This next button enabled equals true, so that the while loop could continue until there is no next page. So here it turns false at the end of the script. If it doesn't find a next page button, it becomes false, and the loop will be broken. So at each page we wait 5 seconds. Then we have to find the container that contains all the listings. So we come here, we accept this, then we look for the container. So yeah, that's it. It has 9 divs, a div for each listing. So we copy its XPath, and it's a div that has the ID result items. So we paste it, and that's it. So we find the container, then we need to find the listings inside that container. So the listings are div elements. So we need to find every div element inside this container. So that is what we did here. We said container.find elements by XPath, and we chain it and we find every div element inside it. So that is the listings. So we need another loop. So it's a for loop. So for each listing inside the listings, we will do a certain process to scrape it. We add this tqdm function to create a progress bar when the bot is working and scraping. Then we need to get the link for the web page and open it in a new tab. So what we do is we come here. So for example, the first listing, come to the first to its div, then we descend into the first div, then we descend into the second div, then first div, then the A element here. So we need to get this href um, from it. So as we said, we descend a div, then a second div, then the first div, then the a element. Then we get its attribute, which is the href, which is the link to it, to the web page of this organization, like here, like this page. So we get it, then we create this line so we can open it in a new tab. Then this line switches our driver to the new tab so we can continue the process on it. So when we open the new tab, we first need the name of the organization. So we inspect it, and it's this h1 element. So we copy its XPath, we paste it, then we get its text, and we call that variable name, then we append that name into the names list. So we try that. If it doesn't work, if it doesn't find the name, we write except, then the name will be none, so it will be empty. Then we will append that to the names. Okay, secondly, we want the Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, YouTube, TikTok links. So what we do, we come here, so these are them. We inspect them. So as for Twitter, we come to this I element that has this class, which contains this fab fa hyphen Twitter. So we go to it, then we ascend into its parent, then we get its href. So that is exactly what we do here. Find this I element that has this class, then we ascend into its parent, which is an A element. Then we get its href. That is the Twitter link for this organization. So we append it to the Twitter's list. If it doesn't find it, we say it's none, and then we append this none into the list. So we do this for every social media app for that organization. So for Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, it is all the same. We find the I element that has the certain class for each social media. Then we ascend it into its parents, which is an A element. Then we get its href, which is the link for that social media app, their profile on that social media app. Okay, we need to get the website also. So here's the website. We inspect it. And this is it. We copy its XPath. We paste it. We come here and paste it. So the driver finds this element, and then it gets its href, which is its link to the website. Its website for this organization. Then we need the description. So this is the description. This is it. So we inspect it. Then we find it. It's these p elements. We need to stack them together to create the whole description. But the last p element, we don't want to include that into the description. We want it to be another thing on its own. So we want this last updated to be. So what we do is we obviously we get this div element, we copy its XPath, We come here, we paste it. So we find it, we get its text, but we split it. So each passage or each paragraph, each p element ends with a end line escape sequence. This one. So after each paragraph, there is it's invisible here, but it is there when we get to the text. So we split it from the right for only we split it only one time from the right. So this way we get every p every text from the first p until the one that is before the last paragraph. So that is why we add the zero here. So it splits it into two. This is the first part from the first from here until here, and the second part is this part. So that is the description. Then this is the second part that we want. So we add here this one. We take the last element in that list. So this takes the first element in the list that we created when we splitted the text, and this one takes the last element. So we replace last updated colon space. So this part, we replace this part with a space. Not a space. We just remove it. So we replace it with an empty string. So we only get this part. So this is that, and then we need the location. So we come here, inspect this, and we found this div that has the text location. So what we need to do is find it and then go to its following sibling. Here we found any div that contains this text, the location. Then we go to its following sibling, which is a div, and we get the text. So that is the location. We also do the same for this one. So the year the organization started publishing, we come to this div that has this specific text. Then we go to its following sibling, which is what we've done here. And we get the text, and that is the year they started publishing. We do the same for the languages. So these are the languages. So what we do here is come to this div that has this specific text. Then we go to its following sibling. Then we get the text from this div. So it gives us the text of this div and the text of this div. So what we do is once we get the text from the parent div, which is this one, it gives us both of these into one string, but they have a space between them. So what we do is replace that space with a comma and a space. And for the type of coverage, we also do the same. We come to this div with this exact text, and then we go to its following sibling, which is a div, and we get its text here. So it's all about how XPaths work, and if you've got that down, then everything is easy. I've done this twice. I've tried the both of these methods, and I'm gonna stick with this one. So let me delete this. Okay, so how this part works. So we initialize a list. First, we initialize an empty list. Then we try to get the main div that has the children divs. Okay, so how that works is, okay, let's try it with the content, the type of content produced. So this is the type of content produced part. We find the parent div. Let's call this one the parent div. So we need to find the div that has this specific text, and we go to its following sibling, which is a div in this instance. So we come here, inspect it, then we find the div with this exact text, then we go to its following sibling, which is this div. So this div has all of these children elements, all of these divs. So we want all of these, but we need to separate them. So we need to so we say we need to say science, comma space, entertainment and culture, comma space, sports, and so on. So how we can do this is we go to the parent div, as I said, this one, and then we go to the children. So we find every div element that is descendant to this parent, and for every div element we get its text, and then we append this text to this empty list. So we append every text from these divs into this list. So this list will contain a number of elements that is equivalent to the number of these divs. So what we need to do next is make make all of them one string and separate them with a comma and a space. So this is what we do here. So we make them into one string separated by this comma and space. Then we take this variable and we append it into the content types, which is the list here that I initialized at first. There is also one more thing is here I used R strips, right strip, this comma and space because maybe there could be cases where this is the last part of that string, that is this string, that is unnecessary, so I strip it. Okay, so once we've done that, we also do the same for other data. So like this journalism genres and this journalism coverage types and techniques. We also do it for this tech platforms and other mediums used. So the same goes for them. Platforms and primary tech platform. So we come here to the audience and reach. So we need the Facebook number of followers. So what we do is we inspect it, come to this div with this exact text, then we go to its following sibling, and then we get its text, which will be this number. So that is exactly what we did here. We went to the div element that has this exact text. We went to its following sibling, and then we get its text. Then we append it to our um, empty list that I initialized above. We do the same for the Twitter number of followers, the Instagram number of followers, the YouTube, TikTok. Yeah, so we also want these numbers for the female founders and the male founders. So we inspect it, we need to get the div element that has this exact text, then we go to its following sibling, and then we get its text. So we do the same for also this part and the male part, and for also for founders. So for founders here, there are no founders, but some organizations have. We do the same, we inspect it. So let's view it on directors better. So we go to the div that has the directors, this text. We go to its following sibling and then we get its text, which will be this part. We basically do this for most of the stuff that we scrape. So we also do it for this full-time employees number, part-time employees, freelancers or consultants, and volunteers. Then we come to the organization tax status. The status, yeah, it's the same also. We go to the div that has this exact text. We go to its following sibling, which is a div, and get its text. We also do this method for the all revenue sources reported by media leaders. We get all of this and we separate them by a comma and space. And for this, we do the same method that we did for previous data. We go to the div element that has this specific text. Then we go to its following sibling. Then we get its text. We also do it here for this, the second most important revenue source reported, this one. And then we go to the transparency. So some organizations have this data, but this one doesn't have it. Then we go to the transparency. We go to the parent element. Then we descend it into its children. Then we get its text, the text for every child. We append it to this list. Then we make them one string, separate them by this comma and space. Then we append them into this transparencies list that I did above, that I created above. After this, it closes the tab. So it closes this tab, for instance, and then goes on for the next listing. It opens it, closes it until the line listings in the current page are scraped. So like here, page 58. Closes the tab of the organization, switches back to this main page. We print some data to know whether or not we're scraping something. So this is just for assurance. And after all of the organizations are scraped, the bot looks for this next page button. So we need to find the li element that has the class page item active. So for instance here we are on page 58, so we inspect it and this is it. So it's this page, this li element that has this class page item active. So we need to go to its following sibling, and then to its a child, and click on this a element to go to the next page. So this is what we do here. We found this li element that has this class. Then we go to its following sibling, which is an li element. Then we go to its a child. But first we need to make sure that it isn't an li element that has this class, that has this page item disabled class, because at the page number 60, which is the last page, we can't go to a next page, we can't go any further. So you see here, this is our active page, and then when we try to go to its next li element, uh, keep in mind it has this class, page item disabled, and if we click on this uh, a element, it will bring us back to the first page. So that won't make the bot end its scraping. So we need to avoid this li element that has this specific class. So this is what we do here. We say not and contains at class page item disabled. So it selects the li element that doesn't have this specific class. Then it goes to its child, the a element child, and then clicks it. At page 60, which is the final page, this condition can't be met. So it runs into an error. So this is why we add the except, which makes the next button enabled variable false. So it breaks the while loop. So it breaks this while loop. When it's broken, then we go to make our data frame that we need to save into a CSV file. So we do all of this. So we get every list that we have made to store our data. We zip them and then we list them, and we name each list. So names, we will name it name. So the first column will be name, and so on until the last um, list, and which is the last column. So that will create our data frame. Then we need to save it to a CSV file. So we name our CSV file projects. We don't need the index, so we set it to false. The encoding will be UTF-8 SIG. Then we quit our browser and end our bot. So let's run it. So as you can see, it's scraping. So there are 9 listings on this page, and it's 9 listings on each page until page 60. Then we go to the second page. So page 1 is done. This is So here in the code, yes, we say after the for loop is done, we increment the page number by 1, and then we print it page, for instance, page 1 done, and so on until page 60. So page 1 is done, then page 2 is done now, and it will continue until page 60. Okay, so after the bot is done scraping, we get the CSV file with all our data. So this is it with 38 columns and 540 rows. Just to make sure our data doesn't have any duplicates, we're gonna do this. So df equals pd dot read CSV projects df. So this is our data frame, 540 rows, df dot duplicated dot sum. So we have 0 duplicated rows. So our data has no duplicates, and that's it.